Good afternoon and welcome to the OOH-RAH Report. I am your host, Anthony Cavaretta, and today on the OOH-RAH Report we are talking about AEW Dynamite. And this is the AEW Dynamite. This is New Year's Bash, what was supposed to be New Year's Bash, Part 1. But, to be honest, reality set in and they had to change it up, and I think it was all for the better. This show ended up becoming the Brodie Lee tribute show. Brodie Lee, former wrestler for WWE, known as Luke Harper, and a wrestler for many years on the independent scene, and this past year he joined AEW as Mr. Brodie Lee, the leader of the Dark Order, and he passed away on the day after Christmas, December 26, 2020, and the entire wrestling community was shocked. You don't expect somebody to die at 49. No one ever does, wrestler or not, and it's a real sad shame that he had to go when he did. But I do have to say, this show was, as they put it, and they said it multiple times throughout the night, a celebration of the life of Brodie Lee, and it delivered in every sense of the word. And from the get-go, they started it off right. They had a 10-bell moment of silence. And then they had Jon Moxley come on. He grew up wrestling with him. He started his career on the independents with him, and then he worked with him in WWE and AEW. And they've had great matches before. If you go find them on online, if you can, they're great. Both their matches in AEW and WWE. Their match for the AEW World Title at Double or Nothing is still one of my favorite matches of the year, and it's just a great match. So the show really does just start off with that salute to him and just that moment of silence and Moxley doing that. And they have those testimonies throughout the night. The first actual match we get is Matt Hardy and Private Party versus the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana. And just right away, you kind of get the sense of what the show is about. And the show is about really just everybody giving it their all in dedication to somebody who they considered their friend. And it really does show. The match goes on for not really that much crazy long. The normal stuff you see from these types of guys. And at the end, Colt Cabana gets the win. And you could just see on Colt's face that he's emotional. And throughout the night, you kind of get the feeling that, none of this really progress. Like, there are things that do progress storylines going into New Year's Dash coming up the next 2 weeks of shows. But most of this is just feel-good moments for everybody involved. Everybody just getting a chance to put on a great show for a good friend of theirs. And, the following thing up is the Dark Order with Lance Archer taking on Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade. And, this is actually a nice tie-in because you have Eddie Kingston, who's been feuding with Lance Archer and Pac, but Pac is not on the show. They're going to get that eventual blow off in the coming weeks, but this is kind of I wouldn't say the blow off, but it's a nice thing to have as Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer do face off in this match a couple times. It's another good match, and it's just like the first one. The Dark Order, they all come out, they all do the hand gesture, and once again, it's the outcome of the match. You can kind of see it coming. Is Dark Order with Lance Archer beat up Eddie Kingston. At the end, you have members of Dark Order beating up on Eddie, and even Jake Roberts gets involved, which just was really fun to watch. For an old guy, he could still move and still kick some butt, which I really did enjoy. And the next match up after that is you have the Dark Order and Adam Page, which this I was actually really looking forward to because I knew that this match was happening before watching the actual show. And this actually gives me a lot of hope going forward. They've been trying, you could tell over the course of the last few weeks, is John Silver has been trying to recruit Adam Page to the Dark Order like they did Colt Cabana earlier and last year. And I was really like, okay, are they still going to do that, or are we not going to get that because it's the tribute show? And they kind of did a little bit of both. They didn't really play with the whole is Adam Page going to go with them or not? But Adam Page came out with them, and that's the right thing to do, and they had the match. It was a good match. They did really well against himself, but the ending here is what really was just one of the best moments of the show. There's another bigger one that I will get to in a few moments, but at the end of the match, you had after Dark Order and Adam Page win, Eric Redbeard, I believe is his name now in the Independents, formerly Eric Rowan, comes out and has a card that says, basically it just comes down to, I will see you soon. Good. This is not goodbye. This is see you later. That's what I always say, and that's the message they were trying to get from him. And it was a really emotional moment, and you can even tell on commentary, Chris Jericho, who was on commentary the other side, especially here, he got choked up a little bit here as they beat, and it was actually interesting because at the end of the match, the whole match is against MJF and the Inner Circle. And MJF, even when he is supposed to be, this really annoying heel, and you really want to get mad at him, he still fought, he's coming from the right place. I could get mad at him for this. He goes up to -1, who we've been seeing periodically throughout the whole night, who is Brodie Lee Jr. And he rips his mask off his face, and -1 just whacks him with a kendo stick, and it just made me smile. Because the little things like that throughout the whole night just make you feel good. Even if you were not a wrestling fan, it makes you feel really good. And, right after that, you have the women's match, which the women's match was, solid. Once again, you knew who was coming out on top when you saw the people's 99, Anna Jay, which I was really happy that they had Anna Jay win here because, well, they were going to have her win no matter what, but I was kind of happy to just see her because she was one of the more recent members of the Dark Order, and she was they were really building her up when Brodie was on television, and I really wanted to see where that was going to go. And, now I hope that they keep going with her and that she keeps, building up her character and really does well, because even without Brodie, she's a really talented performer, and I really want to see what comes up of her. And she had a good win here. But after the match, we get the normal, stuff that's leading up to the next few weeks as Britt Baker comes out. She didn't come out. She was already there, and Tony Schiavone actually does come out. And they do a little quick interview, and then Thunder Rosa comes in and beats her up after there was shade thrown again at Thunder Rosa from Britt Baker, and I'm really looking forward to their match on night 2. I feel like both of these women are extremely talented, and I would love to see what they can actually do together in the ring. It should be really, really fun to watch. And now the main event. And the main event, for me, I liked this match on paper. I really did. And, they build it as this is -1's team against Team Taz. And it's Orange Cassidy, number 10 from the Dark Order, and Cody against Team Taz. And I loved that combination already. And then this match was just great. This may just be me talking about the entire show and, how sad it was and all that. But just the way that these guys performed, they performed their hearts out. And it was just so nice to watch. And finally, you had, right after that, great match. And at the end of it, you have the little stuff teasing, Team Taz is beating up on everybody. And you have Darby come out with Sting. They stand in the ring for a little while. And that eventually teases next week's episode where you are going to have Darby Allin versus Brian Cage for the TNT title. I'm interested to see how they do that with the last segment that happened on the show. So the last segment was it was Brodie Lee's tribute. It was the main event. His wife came out, -1 came out, 10 came out, and Cody and Tony Khan were out there. And basically it was just saying that was the final goodbye. It was the final goodbye, and I do urge people to please go seek out the clip from that segment. Just that segment. You don't have to watch the show. Just watch that segment. Because even if you're not a fan of AEW, or you are not a fan of, what they do and all that, just go find it. If you're a fan of wrestling, and you're a fan of just watching people, celebrate somebody's life, that is just a great way to do it. And as a fan, I've never really seen, a company do what they did for, this guy has only been working for them for a few months, but just the fact, the way the community was built for him, the way he was so, all the stories that you heard over the night, you felt the gravitas of this moment where they just lay his boots out, and, his family is there and his son is there, and then Tony Khan comes up to him and he says, "Your dad was the greatest TNT champion ever. Therefore, here, this is yours." And he gives him the TNT championship. And later that day, it came out that that version of the title is retired. That's it. That's going to Brodie Lee and his family. And that's going to be the end of that title for a little bit. And I'm really happy that they, did that. It was a little bit surprising when I first saw it because, you're building up a TNT title match. And yes, I know circumstances are what they are, but, next week you have the TNT champion, Darby Allin, taking on Brian Cage. I do really think that they have a second chance to, make a new design and give it to Darby, make it his own, and just moving on from that. But I think, go out and find this segment. It was such a great way to celebrate a great man's life. And, nothing more can be said. The video package afterwards was just as great. And just the whole thing, the whole night, props to AEW. Props to them to really just show everyone what wrestling is. A lot of people always will tell me like, hey, the wrestling is this, wrestling is that, why are you so invested in it? Because moments like this when you can actually see people coming together, that it's just as big as a community as if football, basketball, baseball, and hockey and all that, and music, like it's an entertainment product, and at the end of the day, you're invested with them as much as they are to you, and it becomes a community. And it was just so great to see them really pay homage to somebody who, yeah, everybody knew him. You may have known him in the WWE, you may have known him just for AEW, you may have known him before all that. But at the end of the day, it was sad what happened, but you celebrated the man, and you were able to just be happy for everybody for one night and just to really celebrate it. So, with that, I want to thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed AEW and their entire tribute to Brodie Lee, if you were a fan of Brodie Lee in general, please leave a nice message down in the comments below, and I will see you all next time.